Hey you, yes you, are you ready for an adventure? A super duper epic one? Well, you've come to the right place. This is part 2 of a very important story. It's about a villain named 1x1x1x1. He was a big deal, a real meanie. But then, something crazy happened. His own friends, his minions betrayed him. Can you believe it? They locked him away for a super long time. If you missed part 1, you should totally go watch it. It's full of drama and sadness and lots of waiting. Go on, I'll wait right here. It will make this part even more awesome. All caught up? Great. Because things are about to get wild. This isn't just a story about a bad guy getting what he deserved. Oh no. This is a story about what happens. It's a comeback story. You'll see our old villain in a brand new light. He's changed, he's stronger, and he is very cross. He's got a new plan, new powers, and a new name that sounds super cool and mysterious. So buckle up, Buttercup, grab some popcorn, maybe a juice box. This is where the real fun begins. Let's go. We're going to dive deep into the mind of a betrayed villain. What does 1,000 years of alone time do to a person? Does it make them think about their life choices? Does it make them want to take up knitting? Or does it make them want to get epic, over-the-top revenge on everyone who ever wronged them? I think you can probably guess which one it is. This story has everything. It has action, it has drama, it has silly moments that will make you giggle, and it has a final battle so big, it will shake the very foundations of Roblox itself. So, get ready for the epic conclusion you've been waiting for. We're about to witness the rise of a new legend. A legend forged in betrayal and loneliness. A legend who learned that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. And maybe, just maybe, you have to build a giant army of super-powered, loyal followers to help you out. It's time to turn the page and start the next chapter. The story of Betrayed 1x4 is about to unfold, and trust me, you do not want to miss a single epic, blocky moment of it. So let's get you up to speed. Our main guy was 1x1x1x1. He was the king of mean, the boss of bad. He had an army of minions who followed his every command. They thought he was the coolest. They would build scary fortresses for him. They would bring him his favorite snack, which was burnt toast. He was on top of the world. He thought he was invincible. He thought his minions loved him. But oh boy was he wrong. His minions were getting tired of his bossiness. He never said please or thank you, not even once. One day his top minions, a sneaky chap named Zed and a clever clogs named Glitch, came up with a plan, a very naughty plan. They told 1x1x1x1 about a magical room, a special place called the Hyperbolic time chamber. They said it would make him even more powerful. You'll be in there for one day, they fibbed, but you'll get 1,000 years of training. 1x1x1x1 loved the sound of that. More power? Yes please. He didn't know it was a trick. A big, fat, stinky trick. He marched right in, expecting to become a supervillain. The moment he stepped inside, the door locked behind him. His minions laughed outside. "See you in 1,000 years, boss," they cackled. 1x1x1x1 was trapped, all alone, in a big white empty room. At first he was furious. He smashed the walls. He yelled until his voice was hoarse. But the walls were too strong. His voice just echoed back at him. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. He had nothing to do but think, and train, and think some more. He thought about his minions' betrayal. He thought about how he had treated them. He also learned how to juggle with imaginary balls. What you didn't see in part 1 was his slow discovery. After about 300 years, he started to see the code of the world around him. The white void wasn't just a room, it was a prison made of pure data. He learned to read it. He learned to manipulate it. He practiced by making little sparks of light dance in the air, then bigger sparks. He learned that his own body was made of this code. He could change it. He could make himself stronger, faster. He spent the next 700 years not just training his body but rewriting his own digital DNA. He was no longer just a player, he was becoming a part of the game's code. The 1,000th year finally arrived. On the outside world it had only been one day. Zed and Glitch were throwing a massive party. "To our freedom," they cheered. They were the new bosses now. They thought 1x1x1x1 was history, a forgotten memory. They were dancing and eating cake. They'd even hired a clown. But deep inside the chamber, something was happening. A countdown timer, invisible to everyone but 1x1x1x1, hit 0. A loud echoed in the white emptiness. The huge, heavy door began to creak open. A tiny sliver of light cut through the void. One by one stood there unmoving. He had waited for this moment for a millennium. He took a slow, deliberate step forward, then another. He walked out of the chamber, not with a roar of anger but with a chilling, silent calm. The light from the outside world felt strange on his skin. The air smelled of freedom and cake. He saw his old minions. They were wearing party hats and blowing noisemakers. They were celebrating his imprisonment. Their faces, once filled with fear and respect for him, were now twisted with glee and arrogance. They hadn't even noticed him yet. He cleared his throat. It wasn't a loud sound, just a small, quiet rumble, but it cut through the party music like a sharp sword. The music stopped. The clown stopped juggling. Everyone turned. Zed, with a piece of cake halfway to his mouth, froze. His eyes went wide. Glitch dropped his party blower. A tiny sad echoed in the sudden silence. There he was, their old master, standing in the doorway. He didn't look angry. He didn't look sad. He just looked different, powerful. An aura of pure energy crackled around him. The air grew cold. "Hello," he said. His voice was not the shouty, bossy voice they remembered. It was low, deep, and echoed with the power of 1,000 years of solitude. "Did you miss me?" Zed dropped his cake. It landed on the floor with a sad splat. Glitch started to tremble. The other minions backed away, their party hats suddenly feeling very silly. The party was over. The real fun for one by one was just about to begin. He slowly raised a hand, and a dark energy crackled between his fingers. He was back, and this time, there would be no mistakes, and definitely no more burnt toast. He was not the same person who had walked into that chamber. That old one by one was weak. He was arrogant. He relied on others. This new being was something else entirely. He had been broken down and rebuilt from his very core code. As he looked at his trembling ex-minions, he decided his old name no longer fit. It was the name of a victim, the name of a fool who got tricked. He needed a name that screamed power, a name that spoke of his story. He would call himself Betrayed one by one, or for short something much cooler, something with more punch, Betrayed 1x4. It sounded 4 times more menacing. His look had changed too. His once simple, blocky avatar was now coursing with energy. His colors were darker, a deep crimson and shadowy black. Cracks of pure white energy like lightning trapped under his skin pulsed all over his body. His eyes, once plain black squares, now glowed with an intense, piercing red light. He didn't walk anymore. He hovered an inch off the ground as if gravity was just a suggestion he chose to ignore. He looked like a glitch in the matrix, a living bug in the system which, thanks to his 1,000 years of study, was exactly what he had become. "You, Betrayed 1x4 said, pointing a crackling finger at Zed. "You were the ringleader." Zed fell to his knees. "Boss, I'm so sorry, it was a joke, a prank. We were going to let you out next week." Betrayed 1x4 chuckled. The sound was like rocks grinding together. "A 1,000-year prank? You have a terrible sense of humor." With a flick of his wrist, a cage of dark energy formed around Zed and Glitch. "You two will be my first new subjects. You wanted me to have more power? Well, congratulations. You succeeded." He didn't just want revenge. He wanted to show them the true meaning of power. He turned to the other minions who were trying to sneak away. "And as for the rest of you," he began, his glowing red eyes scanning the crowd, "you have a choice. You can join my new empire, an empire built on true strength and loyalty, or..." He left the sentence hanging in the air, a dark sphere of energy forming in his palm. "You can join them in the prank cage." It wasn't much of a choice, really. One by one, the minions dropped their party hats and knelt. They had betrayed their old master out of fear and frustration. Now they would serve their new one out of pure, unadulterated terror. Betrayed 1x4's new empire was not going to be like his old one. No more shoddy fortresses made of mismatched bricks. No more minions who secretly thought he was, a bit of a Burke. This was going to be Empire 2.0, sleek, powerful, and totally, completely, 100% under his control. His first act was to tear down the old base. With a single wave of his hand, the entire fortress crumbled into dust, which he then reshaped into a throne, a very big, very spiky, and honestly very uncomfortable-looking throne made of pure shadow and regret. It was perfect. His new headquarters was a masterpiece of digital architecture. Instead of a castle on the ground, he created a floating citadel that phased in and out of reality. It was a fortress that was everywhere and nowhere at once, made of the same glitched code that now made up his own body. Walls shifted and changed. corridors led to impossible places and the cafeteria only served food that tasted vaguely of revenge. It was confusing for visitors, but Betrayed 1x4 felt right at home. He called it the Glitchadel. He was, very proud of that name. His new army was also an upgrade. The old, terrified minions were put to work on janitorial duties. His real soldiers were new, beings he created himself from raw code. He called them glitches. They were shadowy figures, each with the same glowing red eyes as their master. They were completely loyal because he had written loyalty directly into their programming. They couldn't betray him even if they wanted to, which they didn't, because he also forgot to program the part of them that wants things. They were the perfect, mindless, terrifyingly efficient army. And what does a new ultra-powerful baddie do with a new citadel and a new army? He starts taking over, of course. Betrayed 1x4 began to expand his influence across the servers of Roblox. He didn't just conquer them, he rewrote their code. One by one, popular games started to glitch. The sky in Adopt Me turned a spooky crimson. The cars in Jailbreak started floating upside down. The obbies in Tower of Hell became literally impossible. He was carving out his kingdom not with swords, but with the power he had mastered in his long, lonely imprisonment. His reign of slightly buggy terror had begun. Meanwhile, Zed and Glitch were not having a good time. Betrayed 1x4 had kept them around, not in a cage but as his personal jesters. Their punishment was to try and make him laugh. This was, very difficult since Betrayed 1x4 hadn't laughed in 1,000 years and had completely forgotten how. They told jokes. "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Zed would ask, sweating. It was futile. Its path was predetermined by its base code. Betrayed 1x4 would reply, his red eyes unblinking. It was honestly a tough crowd. Their lives depended on being funny, and, well, they were failing miserably. One day, while dusting the spiky throne, a very dangerous job by the way, Zed and Glitch overheard Betrayed 1x4 talking to himself. He was muttering about his origins, about the one being in the universe who might be able to stop him, the one who created him, not from code but from pure hatred. He thinks he's a god. Betrayed 1x4 scoffed. The great creator, the one they call Shedletsky. Zed and Glitch exchanged a look. Shedletsky, the legendary retired Roblox admin, the one who wore a crown, not a fedora, and the creator of 1X1X1X1, born from his own hatred. But Betrayed 1x4 was not planning to defeat just anyone. He was plotting to destroy Shedletsky himself because of the pure hatred he felt towards him. If they could warn Shedletsky, maybe he could stop Betrayed 1x4, and they wouldn't have to tell bad jokes for the rest of their lives. Their escape plan was daring. It was stupid. It was also kind of brilliant. They knew Betrayed 1x4's weakness was his own ego. So, during their next performance, Glitch announced, "Great Betrayed 1x4! We have built a statue in your honor, to show our undying loyalty." Betrayed 1x4 was intrigued. He followed them to a courtyard where, indeed, a massive, ugly statue of himself stood. It was so big and distracting that nobody noticed Zed slipping away and logging into the Universal Emergency Broadcast System, a dusty old computer terminal used for announcing pizza parties and server restarts. Zed typed with trembling fingers. "To John Shedletsky, from Two Very Sorry Minions, help, 1x1x1x1 is back, he's superpowered. He calls himself Betrayed 1x4, he's glitching everything. He's making us tell him jokes and he has no sense of humor. Please help. P.S. We know we messed up. Big time." He hit send just as Betrayed 1x4 realized the statue was made of paper mache and old socks. He turned, his eyes glowing with fury. "You tricked me again!" But it was too late. The message was sent. Somewhere, in the highest echelons of the Roblox cosmos, a notification pinged. High above the digital world, in a golden office that existed outside of time and space, John Shedletsky, retired Roblox admin, was admiring his collection of powerful swords from his own game, Sword Fight in the Heights, a gleaming crown resting on his head. A small screen on his desk beeped. An emergency broadcast. That was, pretty unusual. He leaned forward, adjusting his magnificent crown, and read the message from Zed and Glitch. His eyes narrowed. 1x1x1x1, he murmured. He remembered that one. An early experiment, born not from code but from his own hatred. Maybe a bit too successful, honestly. He thought the character had been erased ages ago. But back, and superpowered, this was a problem. Shedletsky sighed. It wasn't every day you had to personally deal with a creation born from your own darkest feelings. Usually the moderators could handle it, but this sounded different. Rewriting the code of servers. Floating citadel. Betrayed 1x4. This required a more hands-on approach. He stood up and walked over to a shimmering golden armory. From a display case he took down a sword. It wasn't just any sword, it was the sword of creation, a blade that could write and delete code with a single swing. It hummed with power in his hand. Right, he said to himself, time to take out the trash. Back in the Glitchadel, Betrayed 1x4 was furious. He had Zed and Glitch dangling over a pit of hungry pixelated space piranhas. You think he can stop me? Your precious creator? He roared. My plan is flawless. Shedletsky will fall. I am a god now. I spent 1,000 years mastering the very laws of this universe. He is just an old admin, a relic. Just as he said the word relic, the sky above the citadel tore open. A brilliant golden light shone down, cutting through the gloomy, glitched atmosphere. A figure descended from the light, hovering in the air. He wore a blue suit, a magnificent crown, and carried a sword that shone with the light of 1,000 suns. It was him, John Shedletsky, the creator of 1X1X1X1, born from his own hatred. He looked down at Betrayed 1x4, his expression not of anger but of disappointment. 1x1 by 1x1, Shedletsky said, his voice calm and authoritative, echoing across the citadel. This has gone far enough. You've made a mess of my worlds. Powering down is now your only option. Betrayed 1x4 just laughed, a harsh, grating sound. You have no power over me anymore, creator. I am not just code, I am your hatred given form. You created 1X1X1X1 from hatred, and from that I was born. But I perfected myself. The stage was set, the creator versus the creation. This was honestly going to be epic. So be it, John Shedletsky said, his crown gleaming atop his head. With a flick of his golden sword, he flew towards Betrayed 1x4. The battle began. It was a fight unlike any seen before in the Roblox universe. It wasn't just a clash of swords, it was a clash of code. Every time Shedletsky's sword of creation swung, it left a trail of pure, clean, original game code, repairing the glitched reality around them. Every time Betrayed 1x4 parried with his own blade of dark energy, he would unleash a wave of corrupted data, trying to glitch Shedletsky out of existence. The sky itself flickered between bright blue and crimson red with every blow. They soared through the digital heavens, a blur of gold and shadow. They fought above the towers of Adopt Me, their shockwaves causing pets to fly out of their owner's arms. They zipped through the streets of Brookhaven, causing lampposts to bend and houses to turn inside out. Betrayed 1x4 was faster, more aggressive. He unleashed swarms of his glitch minions, but Shedletsky dispatched them with elegant sweeps of his sword, de-resing them back into ones and zeros. You are just a user, Betrayed 1x4 screamed, his plan to defeat Shedletsky echoing in every word. I am the system itself. You are a bug, 1x1 by 1x1, a flaw that needs to be patched, Shedletsky retorted, blocking a powerful blast of energy. He was calm, experienced. He had written the rules of this reality. He knew how to bend them. He teleported behind Betrayed 1x4, aiming a precise strike at his back. But Betrayed 1x4 had anticipated it. He spun around, his red eyes glowing. I know every trick in your book, old man. I had 1,000 years to read it. He caught Shedletsky's sword with his own, and for a moment they were locked in a struggle, face to face. Why are you doing this? Shedletsky asked, his voice steady despite the immense power being unleashed. You could have been anything. You chose destruction. Betrayed 1x4's face contorted with a millennium of pain and rage. You made me a villain. You wrote my destiny. My minions showed me the truth. The only thing that matters is power. The power to never be betrayed again. With a final desperate roar, he pushed Shedletsky back and gathered all his glitched energy into one massive, world-breaking attack. A giant sphere of chaotic code designed to delete anything it touched. John Shedletsky was not the creator of Roblox. He was a retired Roblox admin, a builder of worlds, and the creator of 1X1X1X1, an entity born from Shedletsky's own hatred. Betrayed 1x4 was not just a product of code, but a creation of Shedletsky's hatred itself. Now, his greatest creation had become his greatest enemy, and the fate of the digital universe hung in the balance. The giant sphere of dark energy pulsed like a dying star. It was Betrayed 1x4's ultimate weapon, the culmination of 1,000 years of hatred and power, a plan to finally defeat Shedletsky. This is the end, Shedletsky! He yelled. This is my final update! The sphere hurtled towards John Shedletsky. It was too big to dodge, too powerful to block. Zed and Glitch, still dangling from their rope, watched in horror. This was it, the end of Roblox, the end of everything. They were going to be eaten by piranhas and the whole universe was going to be deleted. What a terrible Tuesday. But John Shedletsky didn't move. He didn't try to run. He simply held up his sword of creation and closed his eyes. On his head, a crown gleamed, no fedora, but a symbol of his rule. He wasn't preparing to fight the attack. He was doing something far more complex. He was typing, not on a keyboard, but with his mind, using the sword as his cursor. He wasn't writing new code to counter the attack. He was looking for something old. A single line of code buried deep within betrayed 1x4's original programming. A forgotten command. A backdoor left by a wise creator. He found it. Admin, command, override _function, sparkle _party. Just as the sphere of doom was about to hit him, Shedletsky's eyes snapped open. Execute, he commanded. The effect was instantaneous. The giant, terrifying sphere of dark energy stopped dead in the air. Then it shimmered. And then, with a loud pop, it exploded. Not into a wave of destruction, but into a billion multicolored shimmering sparkles. The sky filled with a dazzling light show. Confetti rained down. A cheerful pop song started playing from an unknown source. Betrayed 1x4 stared in disbelief. What? What is this? What have you done? His body began to flicker. The dark crimson and black of his form was being replaced by bright, happy colors. Pink, yellow, baby blue. His glowing red eyes turned into goofy, googly eyes that jiggled when he moved. His menacing energy aura transformed into a gentle, shimmering rainbow. He looked down at his hands, which were now shooting out harmless, glittery sparks. "No! No! My power! My rage!" he cried, but his voice came out in a high-pitched, squeaky tone. Shedletsky lowered his sword. "I couldn't delete you one by one by one by one. You are my creation, but I could downgrade you." The reign of betrayed 1x4 was over. He had been defeated by the ultimate weapon, a mandatory fun update. The universe was safe and, well, a little more fabulous. John Shedletsky, once a Roblox admin, had faced his own creation. Betrayed 1x4, a being born not from code, but from his own hatred. Shedletsky had once created 1X1X1X1 from hatred, and now, betrayed 1x4 was the living embodiment of that darkness. But Roblox itself, and its true creators, remained safe for another day.